Shmaya Heganu Le Parshas Bamidbar. We finally approach the parsha that the Torah writes in Archaim Simatov Chav Ches almost always directly precedes the Yom Tov of Shavuos. Haba Leinu L'Tova. So Dvarim Gedol Ameinu Memikra. Nothing's coincidental. Obviously, if the parsha coincides with the Hachana, the final preparatory stages for Matan Torah Seinu, then Avada, there's a correlation, there's an association that has to be understood, and perhaps we need go no further than the Parsha's opening pasuk, Vayidam Hashem Moshe b'midbar Sinai b'Oel Moed. The Eish speaks to Moshe Rabbeinu where? B'midbar Sinai. Zok to Rabbeinu Ephraim, one of the Bali Ataisos, b'midbar Sinai is Gematria 378. Bish Shalom is likewise Gematria 378. Shalom Gematria 376 is Gematria Midbar Sinai. Eish says, you're ready for what? For Matan Torah. Where are you going to be ready? Midbar Sinai. Where was the Torah given? In Midbar Sinai. Midbar Sinai Gematria Shalom 376. The only way to receive the Torah is Ayadei Shalom. The only way to bring about all brach in the world. As the Mishnah concludes, all of Shas, Perek Gimel, Mishnah Yud Beis, and Uktzin, Rab Shimon Chalafta tells us, L'motza Kodesh Baruch Hu Kli Machzik Brocha L'Yisrael Ela HaShalom, the only Kli, the vessel that contains therein all the ensuing blessing, the Shefa, the Yatzlocha, and all pours forth Ach Barak on the heels of Shalom. And thus we explain the Ber Yitzchak, Rav Yitzchak Harowitz, in his Perush and Rashi, Parshas Baloscha, who is the one charged with the command, the mandate, Abi Alos Chas Aneros, who's going to bring Shalom into the bias of Hashem. Why do we light candles every Friday night? One of the main reasons, Shabbos Chav Gimel Amud Beis, to bring Shalom into the bias. We have the licht of Shabbos Kodesh to highlight not only the two candles Kedeged Zochar Shamar, but Ayadei, the light, as Rashi says, you can see where you're going. It's inducing feelings of Shalom permeating the Jewish home. Mela, who's going to bring Shalom bias into the bias of Hashem Yisbarach, into the Mishkan, into the Beis HaMikdash? Aaron HaKohen. Why? Mishnah Novus, Perek Ala, Mishnah Yud Beis. He is the quintessential Oev Shalom and Rodev Shalom. Since he loves peace, explains the Ber Yitzchak, he's going to be the one charged with kindling the candles of the menorah. That was Miksha Achas, by the way, that was one piece. One piece, Shalom, Shleimus. Who's going to light those candles? None other than Aaron HaKohen, who personified through and through what it means to be an Oev Shalom and Rodev Shalom. Dafka Aaron HaKohen, as the quintessential Oev Shalom, will light the candles of Shalom Bayis that will bring peace and harmony into the Bayis of Hashem Yisbarach Be'alos Ches Aneres. And that's Aaron HaKohen, that's Shalom, that's how we bring peace into the home Al Yadei fire. Not coincidentally, when we take yet another look at the famous Shla Kodesh that I mentioned many a time, commenting on the pasuk in Ovadio in the Torah Perek Aleph pasuk Yud Ches, where the Navi tells us, "V'haya beis Yaakov le'Aish, beis Yosef le'Ahava, beis Esav le'Kash." How do you burn up the metaphorical straw of Esav and all that he personifies? Kash writes the Shlo, Rosh Tevis, Kina and Sinna. How do you consume? How do you, in essence, eradicate the Kash, the straw, the Kina, Sinna of an Esav Ayadei, the Aish of Yaakov, Aish, Aleph, Shin, Ahava, and Shalom. Ahava and Shalom, Rabbi say. Ahava and Shalom, what's in Marum is it? Alpi the Shlo, it's so Gishmak. Ahava and Shalom, when they're juxtaposed, when you bring them together, what word is Merames to Ahava and Shalom b'yachad? Aish, why Aish? Because what is Aish? Shalom. Everyone who went to summer camp knows when you want to get the kids to unite, what do? You bring them in a semicircle or a full circle around the campfire, because the fire brings people close. When you want to have a romantic dinner with your spouse, what do? You have it around the candlelight dinner. To have the candles. Why? Because Aish brings people close. You walk into a home, and how many videos do you see? Torah videos, they have the speaker placed in front of a fire. You go to hotel rooms sometimes, they got a fake fire going. The fire naturally brings us close. Aish, Ahava, and Shalom. Where would it be Merameh simultaneously to both Ahava and Shalom? How Geshmak Lefini Eytain, that it's couched precisely in the context of Aish, because Aish is is what the woman of the house likes to bring Shalom Bayis into the house every single Friday night, because husband and wife sit around a candlelit dinner to go ahead and induce feelings of romanticism, of closeness, proximity, and that's why we all come around. A campfire, always fire, brings us close. You want to roast hot dogs, marshmallows, you get close to the fire. The warmth already is luring us, seducing us to come close. That's Ahava and Shalom. That's Aish, Aaron HaKohen, as Mamela, the one charged with Balosas and Eris to bring Shalom Bayis into the Bayis of Hashem Yisbarach. Hence, how do we get ready for Shavuos? The only way we were able to receive the Torah was on the heels, was Be'ikvis Vayichan Sham Yisor Neged Har and Yisor Yutez Beis. And Rashi cites the oft quoted Mechilta Kishecha B'Leivechad, picking up on the Vayichan, the singular conjugation, not the expected Vayachanu. So explains Rav Yitzchak Eis Echover Nisdrosha Siyach Yitzchak, Drosha the Parshas Truma, Drosha the Parshas Shkolim. Explains the Kli Yakor Nisdrosha Olos Ephraim and Maimer Chabeis, Rav Tzedek HaKohen Pri Tzadik in Yoni Rosh Chodesh Elul, Or Gedayahu and Shavuos, his son Rav Avram Shor and Alekev Halibav and Shavuos, and so many others for him. We walk away from such a Rashi, such a Mechilta, how we think of Aldik when Klai Yisrael stood collectively at the Piedmont of Sinai. What an experience! What an awe-inspiring experience. By the way, the Jews got together. We finally were able to be Ba'achtas. No, they all explained that it was an essential prerequisite. To Hainu, the Eibishter says, I'm not giving you the Torah if you're not Ba'achtas. And what's the hesber in that? Explains the Maralmi Prague. Hashem Yisborch is echad yochad u'miyuchad. And if al yedei the Torah we become connected to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, mizdabik and mischaber to the Rebbeinu Shalom like never before. That's the Zohar and Achribos Ayin Gilum and Aleph Kutcha Baruch Hu v'Yisov v'Yaraisa Chadu. How are we interlinked and interconnected with Hashem Yisbarach? Ach v'rak ayedei Toraseinu HaKadosha Yisrael Kutcha Baruch Hu v'Yaraisa Chadu. If Hashem is all about Achdus and Klal Yisrael, you want to connect ayedei the Torah that's Ma'ached all the Levavas Yisrael Yeshishim Ribo Osios the Torah corresponding accordingly to all the 600,000 Sharshei Neshamas of the myriad souls blossoming, burgeoning into the millions of Yidden that we have, all originating in the 600,000 corresponding to another Os in the Torah. If you want to connect to Hashem, you want to connect and receive the Torah. It's Achbarak built on the prerequisite, on the criterion of what? Of Achdus, of Kishecha B'Leivechad. Only when you're Ba'achdus will I give you the Torah. Everybody come close. Come close to what? What happened by Matan Torah? Kolos Ubrokim, Ahar Boer Bay. A house, it's going to be on fire. Everybody encircle Har Sinai. The same way Lahavdil, the campers come around the campfire. We sit around the campfire and it brings us close. Eibishter has the mountain kilo on fire. The Torah is nitna Aish. It's given Aish. Why in the Feiner Eitain geschmack the metaphor? Because fire brings us close. Eibishter kilo is inviting us to come close to his mountain. Rabbi side, look at this candlelit dinner I have over here. I got the whole mountain on fire. Everybody come around the campfire, come around the mountain. Vayichan, and we came around as one. Once we were Ba'achdos, then and only then can we receive the Torah that Mamela unites us with Hashem Yisborch as echad, yochad, umiyuchad. On the heels of that, we shared many a time a fascinating phenomenon pointed out by Rabbi Yehuda Shaviv in the Sefer Bein Haftorah the Parsha. And we mentioned that Klal Yisrael, we can never agree on pretty much everything. And included in that are the Haftorah Shashana. It's amazing. You open up your article, Shanstein Chumash, and what do you see every single week? This is where the Ashkenazim begin. This is where the Sfardim, Kamasayim, and Masfardim, and this is where Chabad, Lubavitchers begin, and this is Eitain Mizrach. And if you look at the back of Krach Yud in the Encyclopedia Talmudis, you'll see a listing of all the different minhagim scattered throughout the year of Lubavitch, of Hasidim, you name it, of the Ashkenazim, the Sfardim, the Teimanim, Eitain Mizrach. Everybody lanes a different haftarah. And even on those times, which is quite frequent, that we could agree on the same narrative, the same selection that's called from the Chelek HaNevi'im, even when we lay the same haftarah, but what we can't agree on starting and ending at the same place. Everyone's got to start Kan Mesayim Asfardim, Kan Mesayim Ashkenazim. We can never agree. We never, the whole year, have the same haftarah and commence at the precisely same starting point and end at the same ending point. What's going on? Except for one time. There's only one exception. Half of the fellow, if you look at the list in Krach Yud of Encyclopedia Talmudis, you'll find that the only exception is this coming week. Parshas Bamidbar, that Alpi, the Torah, is almost always the Parsha that directly precedes Shavuos. Here we take from the second parak in Hosea and the Treyasar, and let's read the opening psukim. We're going to gather all Klai together. Notice, just like the sand consists of so many billions, trillions of particles, but when you look at it, it's all together. Now, how do we get the sand together? Kayadua, sand, it's really separate grains. How do you build a sand castle? You got to get it wet. You got to pour water on the sand, and when you pour water on the sand, then it congeals, and then you can build the sand castle. How do you take all the multifarious grains and bring them together? Tainis, Tavzayim, and Aleph, Ein Mayim Ela Torah. You need to have the Torah that's Ma'achid Klai, so sprinkle the Mayim of Torah onto the Klai, so Kachol Hayam, bring everybody together. And now you're ready for Matan Torah. Now it's Mamash 1. And what are you going to do? Hosea Perek Beis Pasuk Beis. V'nikbetzu b'nei Yehuda b'nei Yisrael yachta v'samolem rosh echad ava'olu min haaretz. Klai Yisrael is going to be neskabetz. We're going to gather, consolidate the entirety of the Jewish people. What's Hosea Beis? Gather Klai Yisrael together. And believe it or not, this is the only time the entire course of the Jewish calendar year that every single year, Misnagid and Chosed, Lubavitch and Satmar, Eitain to Mizrach, Teimani, you name it, every single year is learning the exact same Haftarah, and we're starting at the same point and we're ending at the same point. Why? Because you want to get the Torah that's coming up this week. It's got to be built on the heels of what? Of Aftas of Kishecha B'leimechad. We'll learn the same Haftarah of Bamidbar Sinai. Rabbeinu Ephraim, Gematria Shalom 376. Once it's built on Shalom, the same way Shas ends in Shalom, and our thrice daily Shemon Esrei and Baruch Hashem Yisrael B'Shalom. You want Baruch, it's got to be Shalom, it's got to be Shleimus. Everybody get ready, get psyched to get around the campfire. Lahavdil Afi Avdolos will encircle the mountain that's filled with that fire. Hashem says the same way He told Moshe Rabbeinu, by the sneh that's Bor Beish, the Shchinas and the Skale comes down. Ayadei what? Ayadei Aish. Hashem says, Moshe, come over here to the bush, the burning bush. I'm inviting you to come close to the campfire, come close to the fire. I want you to bask in the proximity of the warmth. And Matan Torah is what? Sameach K'nesinasa, come around the fire. All of Klai Yisrael b'yachad. Remember Asina Gematria Shalom. You're all going to come together. You're going to learn the same Haftarah as a necessary prerequisite for Matan Torah. The same Haftarah that talks about V'nikbetzu B'nei Yehuda B'nei Yisrael Yachta. We're all going to come together. And thus, what's going to appear in the pages of this week's Parsha? We're going to have not just the Sfiras Omer coming to a close, where we take all the days in the Sfira and link them back to Hayom Yom Echad Be'omer, and now to Rishon, counting in a sequence. Rather, we take all the days and we're Ma'ached all the days back to Achdus, uniting Pesach and Shavuos, and in the same Parsha we're counting the people, uniting them what? And together, all grains and sand. All we're missing is the Torah. Poor little Mayim and Mayim al Torah on the Chol Hayam that Klai Yisrael is compared to. And then we'll be that one solid clod. We'll be able to build the Metzias of Klai Yisrael, but it's got to be what? It's got to be starting with Aish, Ahava, and Shalom. That's the way to get the Torah. That's the way to be Nesachir at the Borei Yolim, to go out and get the Torah. But where is that Shalom Arumas to? The Seyuma Demilsa, only by Midbar Sinai, only when what? When you make yourself lowly like the Midbar, like the Onav, when everybody goes out, Kilo, figuratively speaking, to the desert, and you have that Achdus from what? By Midbar Sinai, it's not about my house, your mansion, your fancy car. Everybody's out in the desert, the Torah given in the desert, and the Donut and Hayam and Aleph. It's all the simplicity, all the Anivas. We're all together in this as one. Let's get around that Aish, Ahava, and Shalom of the campfire. Let's be Zocheh to be Makabel, the Torah Kadosha that was Nitin Abeish. Let's be Zoichet to that Aftas and Mavarcha Sama Yisrael B'Shalom and get to our Shleimus Ayadei, the Torah Kadosha. Haba Aleinu L'Tov. Have a wonderful night and a great rest of the weekend.